I am Dasha Matsuura. I am the Los Angeles director at Hashimoto Contemporary, and this is Somebody. So the whole show is contemporary figurative painting. I really love looking at paintings of people and how people see each other and themselves. So this show is really based on allowing each of the artists to honor and highlight the people that they're most interested in painting and honoring in the gallery space and in their painting space. Hanna Joshi is based in Canada, and a lot of her work is really autobiographical, a lot of internal rather than necessarily representing a single person or moment, but more human experience, emotion, highlighting the strength in softness and vulnerability, and tons of really beautiful detail that are just really delicate, really requires getting up into to see those really subtle gradient shifts and the textural detail that she can get out of a work on paper. Shingo Yamazaki is also based in Los Angeles, but grew up in Hawaii. A lot of his work is also very familial and autobiographical, thinking about his family and honoring those memories and those people in his life. There are also usually a lot of transparency and different layers over the top of them, kind of thinking about memory and how that shifts and can be unreliable or can shift depending on where you are in relationship to the events. Sabo, one of my favorites. All of his paintings have this just joyful figures. He calls it his drag, and he doesn't physically put on drag, but his paintings are his version of drag. So playing with fashion and hair and just body shapes and just really bright, joyful, colorful works, and thinking about queer identity and queer presentation and joy. More Sabo. I love this painting. This one's a little unconventional for him with the scale shift, that it's the face rather than the full body of the work. Steinkraus, who I'm very excited and very honored to have in this show. A lot of her work in particular is thinking about historical artists, particularly women who were making work, scientific drawings and paintings about flora and fauna that a lot of times were overlooked. This particular piece is thinking about that concept and also thinking about these bumblebees that are also often overlooked, and kind of thinking about nature and existing in nature. The very cute bee buds, which she did specifically mention to me that she was very excited about the bee buds. Flores, who's based in Chicago, these very graphic shape based works that are figurative but much more abstracted. And every time I do this show, I'm also really interested in not just representative figurative painting, but also the abstraction and what happens when it's not any one figure or person, but can kind of take on different meanings, different concepts within the abstracted space that the viewer gets to input themselves into. Marianna, who I'm so thrilled to have in this show, she almost exclusively paints her family. So this particular one is her mom in front of the house that they grew up in or used to live in, kind of going back and revisiting some of those memories. There's something in painting someone and spending that time rendering that is so careful. All of her painting includes her family and honoring them as people, also thinking about socioeconomic and demographics of folks that aren't typically included in painting and allowing them to exist in that space and to be taking up space in this way. Kathryn Kampovsky, this is more experimental work for her as well too, is typically very figurative in her painting, and a lot of times a lot of self-portraiture in her work as well too, kind of going into a more surrealist space, more dreamscape, thinking about a lot of different concepts and how those flow through together. Lanise Howard, again, another artist that I'm really excited to get to work with, based here in Los Angeles. I love how she paints people, especially Black folks, and just the strength and the joy and the color that she uses in them is just really, really spectacular. Dennis Brown, based in San Francisco, typically works on smaller works on paper and is starting to make larger works. Again, very autobiographical, really influenced by his family and upbringing, moving around a lot. And then Celia Jacobs, so she does a lot of illustration for the New York Times, the New Yorker, that sort of illustration work. So this series is all non-binary folks that have different components of different people from her life. Again, playing with fashion, similar to Kevin Sabo. There's some really lovely little art history nods in these ones as well too. So Saturn devouring his son is the earring in that one, and I love that so much. Corey Lamb, one of my favorite painters, a little bit more surrealist, abstracted space as well. Gina Contreras, who's based in San Francisco. A lot of her work is very autobiographical and self-portraiture and thinking about sexuality and modern dating and culture and history. And then Marbie. So she is a professional skateboarder and just had her first San Francisco solo show with us. These are some collage pieces, and then we also have some paintings as well.